Welcome, everyone, to the L7C podcast, My Hero Academia edition. Today, I know I always say we have a very special episode. Today, we actually do have a very special episode for you guys because for the first time in 2 years?
2 years, probably. Yeah, about.
Yeah, 2 years. This episode is in person. That is right. I have the My Hero enthusiast, Miss Andrea Alaniz, right across from me. And this is our first episode in person in 2 years. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm a little sad. This is my last day visiting you guys. Headed back to, the dead heat of Texas. I'm not looking forward to that. But I miss my fur babies. So it'll be good to see them. But it's been awesome to see you guys catch up, have our dual day. Go and watch that video once it's out on YouTube. I don't know if you're editing it because we were dueling for a solid 13 hours. 13. We started at 1 p.m. Y'all did not finish till 2 a.m.
Yeah, I don't even know if I'll edit. I think what I'll probably do is, whatever the fuck it is, where it's at, but I think on time we're recording right now on Monday, after dual day, the 12th, I think I'll probably do something like a little live recap and just be like, all right, here's the recap, and save everyone the trouble of trying to find something in a 13, 15 hour type thing. So I'll save the people the trouble for that. But we are here to talk some My Hero Academia, and we've been blessed to be able to do this episode in person because there's been a lot of breaks.
Yes.
Because of the Olympics, which this was, I guess, our first time recording during an Olympic year. Because you didn't start until...
That's right. I started with you guys, started recording in 21.
And they did
But they had the Summer Olympics for 2020 in 2021. Yeah.
But Japan must have been doing a lot better because they didn't take that many. They didn't take that many breaks, if I remember, that season than it did this season.
Right. Or was it a fall? I don't remember when My Hero came out in 2021. It was a spring release, wasn't it?
I think so because we were doing like the case pros.
The case studies.
Case studies and all that, so there was not even any episodes. So
maybe it was like early spring that they had instead of towards late spring into summer.
Maybe.
Because, for them to come out, did they start in the beginning of May?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it could have been that they were already done by the time the Summer Olympics started.
Right. Could be. But there's a lot of breaks, so feels like we haven't been here in a while talking My Hero, which is true. The last episode that came out about My Hero was literally July 1st. That was our last My Hero podcast. But we are here. We're going to dive right into the stuff so you guys don't have to wait any longer. And yeah, Andrea, last time we left off literally, which feels like forever.
It was.
Shoto landed that direct punch on Dabi. And that was our last episode.
That was and that was the ending. That was beautiful. It was I almost want to say cathartic. It was like, this chapter is finally over. For me, it felt a little bittersweet of like, okay, well, Endeavor never got to have another interaction if, the assumption that Dabi was dead actually was, true. It felt bittersweet in that aspect, but it was just like, all right, Shoto, you did what you needed to do. You stepped up. You brought out this super cool new move. Amazing. Love this for you. Mm. The visual of like young Toya crying as Todoroki's punching him, and Todoroki is like his own real age, crying to like reflect their kind of mental ages or emotional ages maybe. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that hit me real deep. Oh man, and that was so long ago. It was so long ago.
So then we will, because there's been a lot of stuff, and then we'll get to the current stuff. So literally after Shoto beats Dabi, everyone's happy. Like, we were off, we're happy. We're like, all right, one down. The heroes are happy, you get that.
They're spreading the information around. The next episode, we go to...
Great start. Great start for the heroes, because we know in season 6, it was kind of ass. we started off, we tried to raid the place, we got all this intel, we thought we were doing something.
See, but that's where my brain was going in the sense of like, all right, first strike. Things are going good. But as soon as things went good in season 6, boom, there was the switch up. And that's what happened in the next episode right after Shoto and Dabi's match concluded. They pan over to, I'm forgetting the site where All For One is fighting Endeavor and Hawks. And that was a little was that intense, and also just brings out the whole idea of when Bro says he's got contingency plans, he's got contingency plans on contingency plans. We also got a brief glimpse into one of the other zones where Spinner is leading all the heteromorphs, and he refuses to believe that Dobby's been beaten. That he's like, there's no way his conviction, his passion, his drive for his dream, there's no way he's down. And unfortunately, that was a little bit of foreshadowing. I know I'm getting an episode ahead, but rewatching that, I'm like, damn, it was right there. It was.
You also have the thing where, like, All For One was talking, I don't know if it was the last episode or this episode, he's just like, man, Endeavor, your youngest kid just killed your oldest kid.
Yes,
like, how do you feel?
Exactly, yeah, that's, he's like, and how, right, and just stirring the pot. How do you feel? Like, your greatest, what was it?
Your greatest failure, no, your greatest success killed your greatest failure.
Yeah.
Ain't that family? Like, pretty much.
Yeah, and we think, like, okay, Endeavor, you're holding cool, awesome, you're not letting him get to you, great. They start fighting a little bit more, and then All For One drops, oh, LOL, by the way, you know why you couldn't find his body, right? And Endeavor fucking loses it. Yeah. And Hawks is like, Endeavor, no! Oh, man, he loses it, loses the concentration, and All For One just, with his whatever quirk that was, literally like kind of takes a bite out of Endeavor's side, barely missing his lungs, and he falls out of the sky.
Yeah, he revealed that he was responsible for Toya's disappearance, which we
knew.
Yeah, we assumed, but still made no sense how you knew at that point, at that day.
Right.
Or you were casually...
just strolling
You've been casually strolling through every member of the League of Villains. You were casually strolling through when Shigaraki was having... you know,
the worst moments of his life. But I mean, he does have that spy network, so it kind of makes sense. He specifically said that he had... what did he say? He said that he had been keeping an eye on Endeavor specifically because of the, like... he saw his, like, lust for power or whatever verbiage he used. And so I guess he kind of picked up on Toya's strife or the potential conflicts, and has just always been, like, stalking around because he really thought Dobby was going to be one of his bodies until, I'm guessing, he found Shigaraki probably a couple years later.
I do want to shoot back, still, because we're talking about the Extras episode, which, again, this feels like this came out forever ago. But also at the beginning of this, too, which every time we bring her up, it's so unfortunate, is not for good things. Mina. Acid.
Oh, that's right.
Mina and Kirishima.
Drop the ball. Ashy dough.
Yep, but this... and then that's like the Spinner stuff. I will give her some reprieve because, again, this was so far, I had to realize this, like, that person who made Mina froze, they revealed themselves to be Midnight's killer. Like the person who killed. They did?
Oh, that's right.
So I've been hard on her on this pod.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna give her a little thing. Like if you saw face to face the person who
has mentioned
killed your teacher, then I'll do that. But again, it's like unfortunately, these kids are way past the time of being children.
Hesitant, of being emotionally like trying to grapple with the emotions of the situation because it is life or death. Because essentially she pauses for that moment. She turns to see him because she's in utter shock. And I'm sure she's probably... they didn't really show rage, but I'm sure she was angry. And in doing so, she left herself open to somebody she had just been battling.
Yep.
And we're thinking like, oh shit, she's about to get smacked. She's going to get hurt. And then here comes Kirishima again.
Once again.
Like, thank God. And it was just like... man, like we can't be doing this. Like,
so then
knowing that though, I missed that. So that does make a lot of sense and does make it more sad. It's especially since I saw her body. It's one thing to be like, oh, Miss Midnight, she died, and now we're having her funeral, and maybe it was like a closed casket because maybe she would like it was gruesome per se. But they saw her body immediately after.
Yep.
Like even if they would have protected everyone else at the funeral with a closed casket, they saw her dead. So, fair enough. I will ease up on her as well on that one. Because after that episode, we were both really hot about it.
It's every time with her. Every time. And Kirishima always has to be the one to save her. So I'm like, all right. Now, fast forward in the episode to two students who really haven't gotten time, shine or all. Tokoyami and Jiro.
Yes.
They finally get some playing time in
Yep.
a big battle. Like, they're there talking, you know, because like you just said earlier, Endeavor let the rage get to him. He's on the ground. Like, literally, he was fighting in the air, and now he's on the ground. So, like, oh, well, this ain't good.
Hawks is literally like, bro, where is he?
So, Tokoyami and Jiro, they're fighting. They're like, all right, you know, because Tokoyami, he's really close with Hawks. Like,
Yep.
you have your Blue Genius to Bakugo, and Hawks to Tokoyami, and Midoriya to
Gran Torino.
Gran
like,
Torino.
The internships, yeah.
Yeah, so this is his guy. And he's like, you know, I'm going to help you, you know. I was there for you when freaking Dobby was burning you to a crisp.
Right, because Hawks was like, bro, you need to get out of here. Like, you're going to die. Like, I think he literally said you're going to die.
Yeah, he did.
And Tokoyami's like, I'm always going to be here to help you. And, you know, this was part of our station that we were here for support for you guys up here if there was a stalemate. And Hawks is thinking to himself, is like, yeah, but that was only if Endeavor was still here. But then he has that flashback, like you said, to when Tokoyami showed up and literally saved his life from becoming, you know, burnt fried chicken. And so he was like, you know what, I'm gonna trust in you. And he calls them heroes, and he says I'm gonna rely on you again, hero. And it's like, oh, good moment.
Yeah, but unfortunately when he called them heroes again, we're trying to do this like we were watching it again. All for one, he's like, you guys think you're, you know, connected to Midori, all that bull, and he called them extras.
And to me that was funny because it call back to Bakugo calling them extras.
And he meant it like, you guys aren't the main characters of this show. You're not the main characters of this fight.
Yep.
You're not even the main supporting characters. You're little extras. No one cares about you. No one care if you alive, dead, or whatsoever. And then they got blasted, and that was literally the end of that episode. And you're just like, did Jiro die? Because her shit got blasted off her face.
Yeah, it got blasted off. We had no kind of resolution whether or not, like...
And his music was playing, which is the worst when All For One starts talking shit and his music's playing.
I know. And it was just also... there. I believe it was this episode where there was the brief moment. No, it's the next one. Going into the next episode, we find out, thankfully, that they do survive. Jiro did lose an earphone jack.
Yes.
So it looks like her... Honestly, you can't tell if her whole ear is still even there because it's just like all bloody on the side of her face.
This episode is 148. Wounded Hero Burning Bright. Yep, this is
Wounded Hero Burning Bright. And she also had a bit of a moment toward in the extras episode where she's like, oh my god, Midoriya, Yama, y'all have been facing this for how long? And I'm, you know, stunned in the face of this like direct evil and malice. Like,
it's weird when it's weird. It's always something when the side character meets the main villain.
Right. Right. And so they are, fortunately they're hurt, but they're still in the fight. And she's able to blast All For One again with her like surround. I know surround sound's not the right word, but surround, like the vibrations, the sound, to kind of discombobulate him and help to reinforce Hawks' blade to try to break off his mask. That's the whole goal here, is they're trying to bust open his mask, his life support. Because then once they do that, you know, he shouldn't really be much of a threat, because bro can't live without it. So they're able to do that. Great victory, great moment. Part of the reason they were able to do that, though, as All For One is talking his shit, like, this is the sound, this is the power of someone who's weak. Like, it's not, this isn't anything. And then all of a sudden we see his body tense up and freeze, and then we go into the kind of like astral plane or internal whatever, and he's like physically there, and we just see these little like white vestiges of people whose quirks he's either stolen or I'm guessing he's stolen, because if they gave it to him, they wouldn't be fighting him like this. But they were holding him, they were holding his arms, and he was caught, like, and he started this whole little thing about like, oh, so this is like a requiem for the weak. Like, her weak sounds activated the weak quirks inside my body, and it's stalling me. And then he went on to say that he thinks it has something to do with the fact that the quirks he's using are actually copies of the original quirks he took. Assuming that the quirks the original quirks went over to Shigaraki, is what I'm guessing. So that was a big kind of moment. That was a big win, because they were able to bust his life support open after that. And he even made the comment of, I needed to dodge that blow. I needed to dodge that. So we're all thinking his life support is open. He's done for. Then all of a sudden he's basically like, you bitches. LOL JK! And his little, like, stabby, red and black stabby things go pick up the pieces in the mask, put them back over his face. And he launches the stabby things that got Bakugo in season 6 towards them. And it pans away, and we just kind of see blood.
Yep.
And so then we see Hawks in front of Tokoyami and Earphone Jack. And so, or I should say Tsukiyomi and Earphone Jack, since those are their hero names. And so we're thinking it's Hawks that just got skewered. No, it was Endeavor. Popped the fuck up from the ground in time. His right arm? His right arm is skewered. And the next thing we know, he's yelling. I'm actually surprised he didn't say plus ultra here. Well, considering the chain of events, I'm not, but, you know, it would have been kind of a cool moment. But Burrow literally just forces his way forward, ripping his right forearm off, heading towards All for One, and, you know, out of nowhere, creates a flame fist to replace his forearm to punch All for One in the fucking face and break his mask a second time.
And besides the flame arm, he also gets heat vision, which that was
He got that when he started dragging him to the ground. Yeah. Because All for One was about to touch him and try to take his quirk, and he was like, no, bitch. And then the flame eyes.
That was new. That was very new.
That was awesome.
I think also, too, now, it's like, you really, like, they really fleshed out the Endeavor stuff, because now if you're, like, really, like, looking at his life, because now we got to see why he was inspired. His dad died. Saving someone, so now it kind of really makes, like, obviously, I'm not agreeing with his actions, but it kind of really all makes sense now, because, like, if you were inspired by your dad to be a hero, and you want your legacy to honor your dad's legacy, that means the rest of anyone who does anything in your thing is in honor of your dad. Who died. So now it was like, all right, so that's why it was twisted. It was a messed up way, but now it's like, now I see why you're so hard on Diamond and Shoto, because, like, you don't want them to mess it up, like, not be
strong enough, because basically that's what he said, is like, my dad tried to, like, save a little girl from, you know, getting killed from a villain, and my dad just died right next to her. Not that he said he wasn't strong enough, but it was kind of implied in that sense. So then it was like, that's why you chose the name Endeavor, because, you know, you're always endeavoring towards becoming better, becoming more powerful, becoming powerful enough, but you never are. And so, and then of course and then he specifically says, like, you wanted to become a superhero, but then when you were faced with the superhuman or superhero, I don't remember which word, you became resentful and angry, and then, you know, the chain of events happened as they did that we know of. And so his younger self, he kind of has either a vision, or it's just all in his head, of his younger self talking to him like, yo, you're trying to become a different person, and that's just not you. You are somebody who always tries to improve yourself through your anger, through this, through that. You have to keep going and doing that, because I cannot look at you. And of course he confronts his younger self, and he's like, you know what, you're right. This is who I am. This is what I need to be. And I will do this, because the past is never gone. And I think he says that during his, like, his second attempt at a one-on-one fight with All for One. And that the past is never gone, I think is what he said. And it's like, that's a callback to obviously Dobby's Dance, where it's like, you know, the past never dies. So, yeah, oh my God, just so many emotions. And at this point, we really think, bro, your mask is your mask is gone. You failed to take Endeavor's quirk. He fried your hand. And then he prominence burned. Which is probably becoming now one of the prettiest moves in the series. Yes. Like when that, because it doesn't come out often. It's come out only 3 times against the Nomu, Shigaraki, and now All for One. And like they were going through his head, it's like, all right, he doesn't have the regenerate. They put everything into Shigaraki's body. So if this is a normal human body, he's supposed to die. He's done. He's done. The mask is off. He prominence burned. He's supposed to be burnt to a crisp, and we see him burnt to a crisp. And earlier in the fight, All for One says, you know, a wounded hero is the scariest. Because actually when Endeavor is still up in the air with his arm missing, kind of cocked back like he's going to throw a punch, though, without the fiery fist, he has a flashback to, I'm guessing, the fight where All Might nearly killed him. And he's like, I did not expect to feel the way I'm feeling from that day. He was feeling from fear. You, Endeavor, He was feeling for the first time in 40
40 years?
Not 40, because it had to have been sooner than that he almost died, that he needed the life support with All Might.
I'm trying to think when I forgot, because All Might, I'm trying to think what age All Might fought him at.
Right, where he started having the whole form issues. Like, I don't remember, because I'm sure he told Midoriya early on, like, oh, I've been having to keep this up for, like, X amount of years. And I really don't remember. So forgive us for that, internet. But
it has to be 20-some years. I'm just thinking, like, Endeavor might be 40, because his oldest kid's
20 something.
Yeah, so I don't think around like 40. So maybe 20, because he didn't just fight All For One right after
he came back from the US.
Yeah, because then his master died, and he did it when he was in his prime, and he hasn't been in his prime in a while. True. And then when they started,
his prime was what, his 30s?
Yeah,
probably, because he would have been in the US in his early 20s. I'm guessing. Because
then when they started the series, they were just like, oh, All For One's been gone for like X, and he's been gone so much that people even forget who he is.
That's true.
So it's like true. So that can't be like a 5-year, 10-year thing, because if the most evil bad guy in the universe has been
only down for a couple years. I mean, it's like Harry Potter. Everybody still remembers Voldemort. Well, he who shall not be named.
So yeah,
and it's only been at the time when Harry first pops up and goes to Hogwarts, it's been 11 years. Yeah. So like, yeah, you're right.
There was a pretty good gap on that, but the crazy thing about that, so he does that. Everyone gets an all prominence where everyone does when you're watching it. Even the people in the show, they get an all. But on the other side, then they're fighting Shigaraki. They're at a standstill because the hand thing or whatever. Bakugo shows that he's been talking to Mei Hatsume down there. Yeah. Comes out with looking like a Gundam with the Panzer support item, and he blew away. See, I think this is why people sometimes get pissed when heroes that you like are fighting villains who can regenerate, and your hero can't regenerate. A la Demon Slayer. Yeah, like shit like that, because it's like, all right, if you were a human, you would have been dead. You would have been dead if that explosion shit hit you. Yep. And then he's just like, oh, my hand just grow back, blah, blah, blah.
I'm good. I just, inject, this is again an episode ahead, sorry guys, but injected me with poison, LOL, let me just pop out another mouth and it just throws up the fucking poison.
Just ridiculous.
Bitch, what? Anyway, going back, but before the end of the episode, what happens? All For One says, you know who else is scary when they're injured? Villains. And he starts fucking glowing.
He does drop a bar saying, you thought I was going to come to a fight risking my life without a plan?
Without an ace up my sleeve?
Like, yeah, that was, he's just like, I'm not going to come to a fight that I think I could die and not have a plan. That was crazy. And then that's when Shigaraki then breaks Bakugo's arm. He's like talking,
throws him off to the side like trash. Like, bitch, I'm not interested in you anymore. You're not a toy I want to play with.
It's crazy. Then you go into now I forgot what it was. I think it was one of the highest rated episodes in My Hero Academia's history. Episode 149. It
was a 9.7 out of 10.
Light Fates to Rain, which basically they really should have just named this episode just Bakugo. I don't even, or maybe they've already named an episode.
I feel like they have. Wasn't there an episode called Bakugo Rising?
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
season 6. Yeah.
Maybe that's why they didn't name it that. But he's going crazy. Like Shigaraki's literally beating the shit out of Bakugo. Eraserhead. I've never seen him like this frantic. He's like calling out for anyone. Genus. Edshot, Mirko. He's like, this is a kid who's going to grow up to be like a number one hero. Yep. Like, please, blah, blah, blah.
Protect him. Do something.
And then we're just like, oh, dude, who the fuck is left? Like, there's no one.
Best Genus is supposedly like barely hanging on, but he's running over him doing first aid on his arm. Like, and he's talking to him like, Bakugo, we need you. Like, we need your firepower. And then he all of a sudden we see tears on the ground. And then we look at Bakugo's face and it's, it's like his spirit's kind of broken.
Oh yeah, he was getting destroyed.
He was like, the gap between us is still that large, and it's just like, bro. And on the one hand, you're kind of just like, well, he keeps. It's been reiterated that he's like, me like this in this body. I'm fucking All Might in his prime. So. Yeah, for Bakugo to be like, I'm still that far away, it's like, well, did you think you were on All Might's level already? Like, we were hoping so, because, like,
He does get saved, and the last time we did a podcast, I was bitching at the end wondering where he was at. He gets saved by Mirio, and I was like, it's about time we're the strongest student in this damn school is at. And then Mirio explains why he was not the fight and what role he had. He's basically the communicator middle person, and the original role was if everything, again, I will never get over the fact that Midoriya's strong ass now cannot just cut that thing off his hand where Toga let him go. But blah, 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 how he got dragged in that. The original role is if Midoriya was there, in a perfect world, he was going to be beating up Shigaraki. They all were going to beat him.
Right.
Those villains would have been got the word like, oh, our boss is getting beat up.
Yeah.
And Muriel's job was to literally whoop anyone's ass who
Prevent
came
them
close
from getting in there. Yep.
and then do the communication with the stuff. So they were just, which is kind of crazy to think too. That means like, and that means they were just like, all right, Shigaraki's going to be left to Midoriya, Muriel, because they're going to come trying to help him. You take out anyone else. Yep. So that means Dabi, Toga, Spinner, Gigantomachia. If any of them come, it's your job, and your job alone. He was the only one because of his quirk and speed.
As far as we're aware at this point, he's the only one on guard duty.
So, which is wild. And his job, like, to help with the support people, because he can relay the messages, blah, blah. So then, like, he reunites with the big three, and it's our first time, and they rescue him, and they're fighting. Before that, and, like, at the end of this episode, when we get to the crazy stuff, I remember texting you, was like, this is, watching the fight, like, this is actually kind of interesting because Shigaraki can't hurt Mirio.
Right.
But Mirio also said in that fight that just his brute physical strength, which is, we've seen, it is a lot. He was punching high-end, no moves by himself. That's not enough to beat, like you said, Prime All Might body. And he admitted that, which is like...
He knew it.
I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you can't do enough damage to take him out, or you would. And he, because of your quirk and your ability with your quirk, he can't put you out. So it's like...
Not unless he just snaps him in half.
Yeah, which... I mean,
he's not going to let him do that. No. He's obviously too fast. He can permeate through the ground. Like,
and that's Sir Night Eye's pupil.
Right.
So it's just like that. Pros that, like... Now I'm just like, I can get... Maybe you should have been... Maybe they should have called you soon. Like, if Eraserhead wasn't screaming for someone to save Bakugo... Would Mirio would be like, oh shit, I need to leave my post?
I think so because he
left on Eraserhead. It wasn't even the command post who told him, like, he had to race, so he went against the whole
he did. He said,
thing.
like, I can't stand by and watch this anymore. Like, I have to intervene. And so he popped up with the big three, and we start getting, flashbacks of the three of them in school, and we get a little more. We get
Mirio got Tenko before that. He got Tenko to come out.
Yeah, he did.
That was big.
He did. He agitated Tenko with being like,
you had no
friends.
Bro,
if you had friends, you wouldn't want to break things. Yep. If you had friends, you would know there are things you should not break.
Unfortunately.
And Shigaraki, in Shigaraki's whole ass, nearly man body, all my body, is like, I did so have friends. Mm-hmm. This guy and this guy said I was nice. And Mon would let me take him out on walks, which is the dog. And it's like...
The bad thing is, All For One, he, like, felt that where he was at. And he's like... man, this body isn't fully molded as I thought it was. Because the fact that I was like, brother, if you're getting Talk No Jutsu, and that is my favorite character. That is my favorite character, Mirio. If you're getting Talk No Jutsu by Mirio...
On accident,
because he was really just like, you have no friends, bro. Like, he wasn't trying to save you. He was like, you have no friends. What are you about to do when main character Talk No Jutsu starts coming in and like...
And we start seeing all the visuals of Tenko's, like, the one... All For One kind of mentions him as the like 1% that's not molded in. Like that Shigaraki and All For One have synergized 100%. He's like, wait, there's something in here that's not quite either one of these people. It's Shimura. I don't know if in English he says Tenko instead, but he's like, it's Shimura. And we see him all curled up in a ball and all the hands wrapped around him. In a somewhat, to me, it's reminiscent of the idea of you build up walls to protect yourself, but also with building up walls like that, you're keeping people out.
Yep.
So... you're protecting yourself, okay, cool, but if you don't let anybody in, because he's all like, oh, nobody reached their hand out, it's like, bro, you build up the wall so far, their hand's gonna run right into that wall.
Yeah.
So, obviously, that's, foreshadowing for later, like you mentioned, the Talk No Jutsuing, but I thought it was hilarious that, he has his little tantrum of like, I do so have friends, or I did so have friends.
Random. So.
And Murio's just like, sorry?
Pretty much. So then like you said, you see the combination of the big three. This is the final arc. This is probably the only time we're going to see these three fighting together. We've seen all three of them fight individually. We saw all of them fight individually during the Overhaul raid, which now feels like 10 years ago.
It was basically fuck.
They're going. You see the backstory of all of them. Nigeria, like, seeing how, like, and that's the thing, like, you know, she was very excited about.
She's bubbly, she's airheaded, so, like, her inquiries and questions, like, and the way, again, I don't know if English might have switched up how the wording was, but in Japanese, it was, like, she kept saying, like, oh, your quirk does this, this, and this. It's like, oh, that's so weird. Or, like, if this happened when you use your quirk, does this happen? That's so weird. And I wondered if it should have been more translated into the English version. I don't know. If it's supposed to be more so, like, that's so interesting instead of weird. But maybe, you know, the literal word she used was weird when she meant interesting, because this is her, like, we're assuming in elementary age or maybe middle school age.
Yeah, and then she shut herself off because they're basically like...
Yeah, because they told her, like, you're annoying, we don't want to hear you, you're looking down on us because you have a quirk that can basically do anything.
Yeah.
So, she shut down.
Which is weird, because we've only seen her as, like, the bubbly adult,
airhead,
like, the close to, like, the senior now, and then seeing that little snippet of her at the beginning of UA just being
closed
in the
off,
corner and all
quiet,
that.
not saying anything, and then... It just took, again, kind of figuratively, that one hand, Amajiki, like, being brave, because we know Amajiki's not brave or really social, and he puts the hand over his face and is just like, heroes, which one do you like? And that one question just opened her back up, because she felt like somebody finally wants to hear what I think or hear my voice, and that was a really touching moment. And for me, it was kind of odd, because it's the opposite reaction that people had to Bakugo having, like, a really strong, flexible quirk, and that they're like, oh, idol worship, Bakugo, Bakugo, Bakugo. But for her, because she was, like, interested in other people and trying to be friendly and get to know them, they shut her down as, like, you're weird, you're looking down on us, get away from us.
So, yeah, it's wild, too. They combine, and you see all of them doing it. You see the combination, the tech, like her putting her energy on Lemillion's fist to give him more damage to actually start doing some stuff. And then you basically, I'm just going to call it the big 3 tri-beam cannon that's been powering up, which was absolutely great visually, just blowing away so many of those hands. And before recording, I know that you were just talking about that line of Shigaraki saying, like, yo, you think this would have beat a Golden Age All Might? Because he
would this kill a Golden Age All Might?
Which I think, too, it's come to the point now that we are all very annoyed with Shigaraki.
Yeah.
Like, because it's one of those things that's like, you were not even this strong by any means at the beginning of this stuff. It's not like you trained to get stronger. You basically got put in a test tube and got all the stuff.
Sasuke over again with Orochimaru.
Yeah, pretty
just
much.
Like, oh, I
well,
was
at least
chosen.
Sasuke trained for a goal.
Sure, no,
though.
he did. You're right. It's just more so in the sense of, like, that he went over to, like, Sasuke went over to Orochimaru to gain more power faster. Yeah. And so it's kind of that...
Yeah, and the more thing with, like, All For One's, like, the goal is to use Shigaraki.
To take over his body.
But yeah, that's the whole purpose. Just like Orochimaru, I mean, he was giving Sasuke the 3 years of tutelage, and the goal was to pay up and take the body. So yeah, there's definitely similarities. There is just what he's saying that, and then, like, you see, Bakugo was there, because he was, like, before, when they're all fighting, like, Best Genius is checking on Bakugo, you see him have some tears and stuff, but then when it comes back to Bakugo, he's been, like, repeating, which he's been repeating something to himself, and we're like, all right, what's he doing? And then, like, he starts walking, and then when he told Best Genius to take care of the others, I was just like,
I got goosebumps.
Oh, this is it. This is final. This is the final stand. And then he keeps walking. And then he's just like, I have to win. Don't I, Izuku? Because, again, you know, he's really cut himself off from calling him Deku as much as he can. He's been calling him by his first name since
he's calling everybody by their names. Legitimately everybody. He's talking about how Kaminari and his group is, like, powering this machine. And Yaoyorozu and the other people are helping to maintain it and put it together. And he's talking about the support class. Like, he's not referring to anybody as extras. He's not referring to anybody by, like, a silly nickname. He's referring to them as their whole ass names out of respect and admiration. I'm hoping admiration, but respect at least. And he does the
slow walk, and you're just like, at first Shigaraki gets pissed.
Blood is dripping. We see the blood drip onto the leaves as he's, like, slowly.
He does the signature anime slow walk, like the signature anime slow walk into a fight, or like, and then Shigaraki's mad because he thinks
he's like, I'm done with, like, I already broke you, like, go away. He keeps using the word broken, specifically kind of like toys.
He's doing that, and then he's going. Shigaraki attacks him. Bakugo dodges, and that's the point, like, if you were watching it, and you had the same reaction as all the other characters who were there, and you were, like, maybe, like, drinking something, and you just spit it out, because you're like...
What?
And then you realize what Bakugo was saying the entire time was Shigaraki's fight pattern.
Yep.
So you're just sitting there like, this man memorized Shigaraki's entire fight pattern.
His spirit is down, and he is still, because he was muttering it next to Blue Genius, and Blue Genius put it together, and he was just like, holy shit, like, Bakugo, you're still, because he had already told him, he's like, it's alright, Bakugo, like, we'll manage something, after he realized, seeing kind of the broken spirit. But yeah, he got up, he's dodging
and blasted him in the face,
because he was doing that slow walk, the labored slow walk, and then boom, he was gone. He was absolutely gone. And then we get President Mike narrating over in like a serious tone. I'm hoping it's a more serious, somber tone in English.
That he reached a new level of power.
That he reached a new level of power because of his is it howitzer impact? No, not howitzer. It's the cluster. The
clusters that he unlocked in season 6.
Yeah, that he, like, a byproduct of that was happening accidentally that he didn't even realize. And so now, instead of just his palms, he can use the sweat glands anywhere. So he's using these cluster balls of sweat all over his body now to propel him that much faster. Yeah. And oh my god, and we see him blow Shigaraki in the face.
And Shigaraki's getting pissed because then he dodges him again, keeps blasting him, and then because again, we're talking about all these animes being the same thing, he has All For One's memories. Yep. Because obviously Shigaraki was not alive back then.
Right.
And he has the image of when he was fighting someone from the past. The person from the past was one of the One For All Vestiges, who, I know you've said it, looks pretty eerily to Bakugo, which is weird how everything looks pretty eerily to someone. So this vestige looks pretty eerily to Bakugo, Midoriya's best friend.
Right.
And I've said this a long time ago. The All Might's master, who's one of the vestiges, looks eerily familiar to Midoriya's mom. So it's like, all right, so who's the one?
Like, who's all related here? Who's all related here?
Who's the vestige who looks like Midoriya's fucking birth dad? Because we still don't know where he's at.
Bro, if we don't get an answer to that by the end of this fucking anime, I will cry.
We're just
like, what is that?
But he's going, man, and like, if you also look at Bakugo 2, his eyes are in the same way that it was in Heroes Rising when he had like One For All. So for a second, I almost thought, I was like, wait, are we calling back to Heroes Rising? Did like One For All like decide to like swoop in and save him and deem him worthy? But it's his own stuff. But he's like, maybe it was just because they want to do that. Character
maybe
design.
That's part of the maybe that's part of the quirk that we haven't seen for All For One.
It could be because then you go back because he's going to fucking town on Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's getting really pissed.
Oh yeah.
And then you go back again. Bakugo sees the vestige of All Might, the eighth user.
Yeah.
He's talking. It's like, when I first met you, I was a punk ass. I mean,
it
was what it was, and he's just like, But it's crazy that we've been together all these years, and I've never asked.
Well, it's only been a year. That's the other crazy wild
Feels like
part.
Well, it's been years for us.
Yeah.
But
it's been in the manga, it's been 10 years for everybody in the manga, and it's. Literally, I think they just got to the second year. Like, bro, this all happened between the ages of 15 and 16.
Yeah, we'll get to that too. But then he's like, I just wanted your autograph. And then Shigaraki lands a point-blank punch right in his heart. And then you see everyone's concerned. Everyone's, like, shocked. Best Genius runs over, like, I'm going to give you, first aid. You're going to be But it's no.
Okay. And he doesn't finish that word. And just everybody's reaction. Monama's got his hands on his face, like, oh dear Lord. Aizawa's like clutching his bandage, like he wants to be able to help, but he can't because he's on the outside. And the pain of the fact that Monama and Aizawa cannot
close
blink.
their eyes. Yep.
They can't blink, so they are watch every single moment. And Best Genius just says, like, oh my god, his heart.
Yep.
And doesn't really clarify what that means. And
and then that's how that episode. And then just real quick before we can go to the last one, you also see the God, they're pulling your heartstrings because before the heart getting blown up, like when it starts raining and all that stuff, they show Bakugo's mom saying, "Oh, that kid hates the rain. I hope everything's
I hope he's
everything is not all right because then he's there."
And we see him and. There's no color left in his eyes.
Nope.
He's blood on his mouth. The card that he mentioned to, All Might's vestige that he wanted him to sign is now laying crumpled next to him. And that's the shot at the end of the episode. I
Oh, that episode, I mean, it tugged on at the moment when that came out, tugged on everyone's heartstrings. Everyone was talking about that episode, like, across the board. Everyone was tweeting just Bakugo.
And rightfully
I mean,
so.
I even remember having my thing saying, like, at that point, like, that was the 149th episode of My Hero, 7th season. I was like, Bakugo, I think, is officially now the best Dural antagonist. I mean, Dural second protagonist. I think now it's established of the generation because I have not seen anyone start where he started and end where he ended.
Well, and that was part of the entire sadness of it for me because, like, Martin, I was crying. I was not like bawling like audibly, but I had the tears streaming down my face. And I'm not even a huge Bakugo fan, but just like the amount of work that he had put in, where he had gotten to, and it was like, oh my gosh, yes, and like let's see where you go, and that was. It was gone. It was gone. Oh. He was done.
Highly praised. I haven't seen anyone like change this much since Vegeta from Dragon Ball. No one in animes, like from that second rival position, has changed from. Because even Sasuke, he was not an asshole at the beginning. Like he was just like.
I mean, he was just a bit of a like prick, but he wasn't an active foe.
Yeah, he wasn't like he was not like Bakugo at the beginning was god awful.
Oh yeah,
god awful. But then, like, and it didn't even take Sasuke, like, a bad thing to be like, oh, I really need friends. Like, he was already, once he got on Team 7, he was, like, past Zabuza, Chunin. Yep. Like, by the Chunin exams, he's like, he acknowledged, he's like, Naruto, I want to fight you too. Like, he's like, no, Naruto's, it wasn't until Itachi came and he saw how much weaker he was that he started to go back to downward thing. But Bakugo started an asshole, kept working his way. Monoma brings it up in the next episode that there's no way Bakugo was dead because he remembers at the training thing, Bakugo's new thing went from I'm going to be the strongest by myself to I want total victory.
No injuries.
No injuries on any of my teammates. Like that whole shift from protecting myself to protecting everyone. And then he's there like that and the mom. The only thing that really would have is crazy too. I saw the edits of people using the Heroes Rising. That if you want to really cry, watch that scene with the Heroes Rising music. Yeah. That will make you cry every time. Yeah. The only thing that would have probably made everyone just fall to the floor is if that exact moment is when Midoriya got there. If Midoriya would have got there exactly when his heart got blown out, I don't even know if Midoriya would have been able to fight.
No, I don't think so. I really don't think so. And honestly, writing-wise, I was surprised he didn't show up right at that moment. Because honestly, and in the start of the video, the next episode, Shigaraki's, of course, talking that shit. Like, you know what? It's probably... Well, that's part of why he was like, well, this is why I'm disappointed in you, Eraser. You guys sent, him, you aren't in here to help, like, back him up. Like, you're on the outside. Anyway, you didn't want to handle this yourself. But in the beginning of the next episode, he's like, well, it's a good thing you guys have my quirk turned off because now at least, I got a body to show Midoriya when he fucking shows up. Because last time I just skewered him and he went crazy. Now he's dead. Yeah, now he is done. But at least I got a body to prove it. Who's next?
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just wild, again, because the moment brought his stuff. And then, also, you think, this is where everything just starts, I guess. Devolving until the end, because maybe now we have hope. But you see the little clown boy, computer man, skeptic, from the war. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm still doing shit.
Well, yeah, but why do we see him? Why? Because the beginning of this episode, we pan over, and there's blue flames everywhere. Mm-hmm. Dobby was not dead. Dobby was not incapacitated. Like, he didn't have to be dead, but at least he would have been beat. No. That motherfucker had a little light in his chest. Still don't understand what that is. He woke up blasting people. I forget which one of Endeavor's sidekicks is now burnt to a crisp. Yeah. Burnt to a crisp. And he's just like, oh, hey, Shoto, this is how you do it, right?
Yep, on a first glance, Shoto's strongest move, which technically has been in the making, I forgot to even mention, that's been in the making since Season 2 because he says the thing back to Midoriya, you were right back then in Season 2, this is my power, so it's been in the making for us 5 years.
Yep.
So, and then 6 months.
And then Dobby's just casually like, oh yeah, like I felt it one time, I got to see it the one time, like this is how you do it, right? Bruh.
So that was thing. And then we finally see where All For One is actually going back to his prime. And something that I have been worried about every time for years and years and years. Once this girl got introduced and once this stuff came back, has come to fruition at a final point. I've always said that they needed to kill that doctor. That doctor should not be allowed to live.
No,
low key, it's 1A. It's, I know All for One's the big dog, and well, I guess Shigaraki, All for One's the big dog, but it's been for me, All for One, 1A, and that doctor 1B, because when you have both of them together, it's hell. He said that doctor reverse engineered duplicate the quirk destroying drug, which came from our favorite little girl, Eri. To go back, instead of making the quirk destroying, to go back and make it the rewind. Her original thing.
Quirk, yeah.
So he was able to reverse engineer the strongest quirk in my outside of the two All for Onesie, One for Alls in the whole show.
Yep.
He did it with science. And with doing that, excuse me, he was able to make All for One back in his prime. The prime that it took Prime All Might to be.
Yep, reversed his body back. However, the only caveat to this, and Hawks is the one that says it, is like, this is the ultimate suicide power-up move. Because it is the original, and there's no way for them to turn it off and stop it, technically speaking, he does have a clock winding down to, like, turn him into nothing. He said, I'm cool with it, because all of my stuff has now been transferred into Shigaraki.
He already had a plan.
So he's like, this was my ace up the sleeve, and we're all just here like, what the fuck? Yeah. He drops down from the sky in the nude, grabs people's capes. Yeah. So he's like, I'm gonna look silly if I'm naked. Like, you're not funny, bro.
I mean, it was all part.
And then he grabs some random hero and takes her quirk. Now I'm curious what fucking quirk he just stole. Because like what?
It's all part of the plan. It's literally all part of the plan. Like,
he could not have known she was going to be there, though. So, like, what?
No, not that girl. I'm talking about that was, unfortunately, a sacrifice for her. But just the whole, like, if I have to use this, it doesn't matter because all my shit's already transferred.
Yeah, it's he like also was like, actually, Endeavor, I'm surprised that I'm actually having to use this against you. So he originally planned to probably, like, show up. Well, you know, the plan was never to be separated from Shigaraki. But basically, show up there, cause some havoc. And then thought he would need to use it probably against Midoriya. That'd be like LOL JK, respawn. But he's using the respawn now, which I appreciate, thankfully, because, like, if they can stall... Because that was Hawks' comment, was like, okay, we need to stall him because there is a time limit on it. And he gets this bro monologuing. Well, I guess it's not a monologue because they are talking back and forth. However, I'm just like, All for One, I know you're not that dumb. So, this can't actually be buying very much time. Like, this rewind process is probably going to take a long time because how long have you been alive? You've been alive a long-ass time, so how long does it take to rewind you to nothing?
Yeah. No, anime is about to take probably the whole damn season. But
right?
It's just like, And now, I don't know, it's not one of those things I was like, man, I told you guys Aries going to have some way, shape, or form in this stuff. But now it's just one of those things like, you think what he did with the bullet, imagine what they get their hands on the original source of it.
Right.
So it's just like, they probably have a plan for that too. But while that's happening, this is basically split into 3 parts, so that was part of that. Then we get this snippet. Finally, we see something new. We see the President of the United States of America,
Mr. Agpar, the guy who, Star and Stripe went out against quote-unquote orders. He also was like backup. Yeah. We'll back you up. Like, you went out there against orders, but you know what? It's the right thing. We're backing you up, sending the missiles. Yeah. He is talking to the president of these fucking United States.
Who we've never seen before.
Nope.
And that's technically where we're recording, in the United States of America.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, we're actually seeing the U.S. president. This is okay.
Yep.
What's happening here? And basically...
What's the strat?
He's arguing that, we should try and align with Shigaraki in case Japan falls, and
there is a race between developed nations. That is what he said. There is a race between developed nations to gain Shigaraki's favor.
So that he doesn't come blow their stuff up. And
to minimize the damage. And he's like, once he's, ruling over us, then we'll wait for our time to strike. Bitch, you are not going to get the opportunity.
No.
Oh my God.
I just laughed, because I just thought... This is what I thought when they were talking with the president, because I didn't know what this president was about to do to the United States of America.
Right.
I thought this is what I thought was initially going to happen.
Right.
I'm going to call him Star and Stripes' little dude, her commander.
Yep.
Was going to come in there and tell the president, give them more time to beat him. I thought the president's like, we can't give him any more time, because if we give him more time, Shigaraki's only going to get stronger.
Right.
And then we're going to be next. We have to do this now.
Right.
I thought it was going to be like the Council in Avengers 1. I thought the president was going to say drop the nuke. Right. That's what I honestly thought. And then we were going to have a timer.
I wish.
We're going to have a timer of...
Oh my god!
They were going to send something like to Japan, like, we are dropping a nuke and it is landing in...
You need to get out the way.
In 30 minutes. In 30 minutes, a nuke will drop on Japan. And on Shigaraki's thing, everyone's going to die. So then it would have... That's what I thought was going to... Then the higher stakes would have been like, Midoriya has to beat Shigaraki... Well, spoilers, Midoriya does show up at the end of this episode. Yeah. Midoriya has to beat Shigaraki in 30 minutes, or Japan, everyone dies. That's what I thought. I thought
that would have been a la, like, Iron Giant. Not that he was fighting somebody, but basically, like, the nuke's coming, got to stop the nuke. So he probably, he would have needed to do it in 29 minutes, beat Shigaraki to save the last minute to maybe do the ultimate sacrifice, like the Iron Giant, and take the nuke. Yeah.
Because that's what I thought he was going to be like, oh, sir, you can't do this. But then...
No, that is not what... I would have liked that so much more.
I know, mine got complete... It was a complete opposite. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe we could cower
Let's all be like, little obedient dogs. We'll...
I guarantee Russia would have dropped the nuke. I'll bet you that. If it's the same, we're basing off of Putin. I know he would have dropped. I'm surprised no one has. If we got the bullets are back, where's the nuke? Someone's got to start thinking about. I know you've been against it for 2 years.
I have,
but I got to the point. What time did I get to the point where I was like, yeah, it's time to drop the quirk nukes. It's time. I'm trying to think what exact moment. What exact moment I was like, yeah, I'm sick of this.
Wasn't it during the war or was it right before?
There was something during the war that Shigaraki did, and I was like so tired of it. I was like,
when you could start decaying shit without touching things.
It was probably that point because I was like, this is a bullshit power up. Yep, time to drop it. It's time.
So, but for me, again, I will say I'm still kind of against the nuke in the sense of like if that's a nuke capability, why could we not condense it into like more bullet style so it only goes into the one person?
They probably can. It's just
that's my vote. Let's do. Well, they should have been doing that.
Then you got to pick someone to take the shot.
Where's the dude with the snipe quirk?
I thought he died.
Did he die?
I thought he died in the last... There's a lot of people who died last year. Or quit. You either die or you quit. Like, that was the only option.
Well, Nagon's dead. We know Nagon's dead. And the dude that was like, yeah, no, I've got nothing on her right arm. Let me see.
Because he was talking about Lady Nagin, who was in the fucking hospital because she's burnt like a toaster pops... Like a Pop-Tart on the crisp. Like, she's basically dead in my eyes. But she's still alive. But... Yeah, I don't know. Did he? Because a lot of heroes...
His name is Snipe. I did not realize his name was Snipe. Okay.
Did he quit, or is he still active?
Hold on.
Also, don't ruin yourself for spoilers.
Too late. Oh, we almost have the same birthday. His birthday is November 7th. Okay. Fun fact, my birthday is November 4th. Not that matters.
But while you're looking for that, speaking of someone who may have had the shot, U.S. president in this was a hoe. It's long story short. And it wasn't going to work anyway because anyone who's seen any movies know, like, once the bad guy's not going to listen to you, you're going to be licking his boots.
Right.
Ed Shot basically decided he's going to kill himself to save Bakugo's life. It said Meikon. He's going to die. If this even works, because now we might lose 2. Shigaraki is pissed. You brought up the toy thing. Like, Shigaraki is mad that they're trying to save Bakugo. It's getting a little...
Yeah, he's like, I already destroyed him. Leave him alone. It's kind of that whole thing of, like being annoyed that, like, I thought I was done with you. Why are you coming back? Mm-hmm. But as you said, during his fight with Bakugo, he was agitated because he reminded him of the vestige that looks like Bakugo, in my opinion, with orange hair instead of yellow and has the big ol' X scar across his face.
That person must have did something to All For One to piss him off.
And I'm so excited to figure out what that quirk is because that is part of the preview for the next set of 4 episodes that we will eventually get to once we get the episodes. Now that the Olympics are over, I'm guessing there probably won't be any more delays in releases.
There shouldn't be, because like this episode we're talking about came out August 3rd. The next one comes out this weekend, August 17th. Like there was some week gaps between them. But then, he's doing that.
Oh, but yes, sorry. With that, he finally notices that he's starting to feel a cumulative damage because his regeneration is turned off. He was like, well, Bakugo's blast in the face didn't really hurt. Well, actually, that kind of stung. And then he's thinking about all the times that he got kicked. Edge Shot made that call out to Mirko, like, ma'am, you need to win. Like, even if he rips off all your limbs, because now she's down an arm. She's now down.
She keeps losing.
Yep, she keeps losing body parts, unfortunately.
She's not alone.
By the end of this episode, she's down 2 arms. Yep. Fun fact.
And 1 normal leg.
And, yep. Yeah.
You also see she has some remorse, too, because she's like, this shit wouldn't have happened if I would have killed you back then.
Yes, and he's like, oh, don't worry, you weren't the only pathetic one out there. Fucking hell. God, he's so... Ooh. Sorry, before I lose my point, I'm so sorry. in the sense of just, like, he, Ed Shot made the call out to her, kind of like, Naruto's fight with, was it Zabuza, where he said, if you cut off my limbs, if you do all this, I will still come at you and try to bite you.
Gaara, because they were both on the ground. Was it Gaara? Because they were both on the ground. He was like crawling towards guys. Like, yeah, no matter what, you keep coming at my friends, man.
Like, I'm going to do everything I can. And so Edgeshot basically says something similar to Mirko. Like, if you're nothing but a head, you make sure you bite him. And that, like, you know, reinvigorates her. And she's landing kicks to the head on Shigaraki now. And he's just like, what the fuck? Like, I've already messed all you guys up. Why are you doing this? Why am I feeling this way? He's starting to feel some actual damage, thank God.
No, but then his body changed it up and put him in just reverted and put him into his ultimate defensive body type thing. So then it's really nothing. And then everyone's down. Like, the literally two are Genis and Mirio. They're the only ones left.
And Mirio really can't do much. And Shigaraki's ignoring Mirio. Like, bro, you do not matter. Like, yeah, you're powerful, but you don't impact me. Yeah. I can't hit you, so why am I going to bother letting you stall me? Let me just go after these other people I know I can rip to shreds.
Which is kind of a worse face, same kind of face like Eraserhead and Monoma, because it's like, yeah, he can't, but you gotta have to sit there and see him.
Watch, because
everyone was down. Everyone was down, and then they get the call, like, hold up, I'm bringing the barrier down. 2 minutes. We need 2 minutes. Yeah, that's
and Best Genis is like, that's too long. Ed Shot is still trying to pump, do internal CPR on Bakugo, repair his organs. Thank you, Ed Shot. I really hope this works.
But then we get the flashback of Mirio, like, all right, 2 minutes, what can I do? And then you see Night Eye, and you're like, oh my god, Night Eye. So sad from a tactical, like, in real world thing that you're gone, and, like, just seeing you again just makes you think of season 4, like, how he really died. And,
yeah.
Like,
he was the first one we ever really saw die.
And then it's just, like, remembering his words about, like, it's important to
always have cheer and humor.
Yeah, cheer and all that stuff, so then...
And then Mirio does his... I called it, right? Like, I was like, he's... Oh, as soon as I saw that flashback start, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna do it. Like, he's always done the whole, like, joking thing, but I knew it was gonna be the... What does he say? Isn't it Peachy?
Yep.
And...
The peach emoji.
Yep, the peach emoji sticks his ass in Shigaraki's face, and Shigaraki's like, huh? And then... Who comes through the barrier right during that pause and moment where he's just like, what? Here comes Midoriya. Fucking... Did he punch him in the face or kick him? I think he kicked him. Yeah. He saw Bakugo.
On the ground. That was it.
And we see his face, and then we see him kick Shigaraki, and that is the end of the episode.
Yeah. And also just want to throw out, too, for a bigger thing, because I don't think we actually said it. That episode where Midoriya comes, that he just arrived... That was the 150th episode anime-wise. So just want to definitely throw that out. And then that's where we're at. This weekend, we start the new 4 again for the pod. We've seen the stills. It's going to be Midoriya versus Shigaraki. Don't know how Midoriya is going to fight, knowing that his best friend is probably dead. He is dead.
He is dead. He's currently dead. His heart is not beating. This Ed Shot is currently making himself extremely thin thread and actually physically squeezing Bakugo's heart. So we are all hoping that his heart just magically not magically, but essentially restarts. Like,
and Midoriya blames himself for everything, so he's going to look around and see all those other heroes who he's probably going to think are close to dead or dead.
I mean, fucking, what's-her-face has no legs left, has no limbs left, has no full limbs left. I mean, she's still putting up a hell of a fight, though. Like, good for her. But, I mean, Nejire is hurt pretty bad. Amajiki is hurt pretty bad. Fucking Shigaraki said, Best Genis, bro, you're probably barely conscious right now, so what do you do?
They're all in fumes, so I just wonder for a fact that if Midoriya is going to tell a million to just gather up everyone and get them out.
Yeah.
Like, I just wonder how that, or Shigaraki, I'm not going to let you guys leave if I can't. Like, I wonder how that's going to go. But that was the 150th episode. Again, it starts again. The fight's going to happen.
Yep.
We're going to see what happens. And
his Goku run to the battle is finally over.
Which I think is kind of bad for the fact that, like, they were talking about, like, speed and whatnot. I don't understand why they didn't have... I'm saying, if All For One was on the hero side, they would have had backup plans if, like, the main plan got separated.
Right!
Like, they had no backup plan of, like, oh, we had one plan. And the one thing that messed it up, we have no way, like, oh, we didn't set up anything else for backup. Nothing. And and it's really hard to come up with a backup plan when the queen piece on the board
is not in the right place. Like, that's really hard to overcome.
All for One did. All for One's like, oh,
I fucking know, and I hate him for it.
Like, I just couldn't think, like, all right, you separated us, cool. But like he said at the very beginning, you separated us thinking you can beat the person you separate. But y'all have to beat them, can you?
Can you?
So,
like,
it's like you can
obviously, and we're back on a stage where All for One is back to his physical prime, although he is still rewinding. So eventually his original body will be gone. Thankfully.
Yeah, and then that's when. Yeah,
and Dobby is now back on the table, and
you have no idea what's going on with Toga.
Oh my god, Toga! I haven't even thought about Toga and on her little island that shit.
Uraraka and Froppy could be. They're not dead because they would have showed up.
Yeah, they would have.
They could be on Brink.
They could. I mean, maybe we'll find out in this next episode. We don't know. We didn't get any, preview of that.
It shouldn't have taken Midoriya this long. It really should. And they should have had plans. Like, they should have had whole different... Because what if they're... Because it would
I'm still on board with the police having quirk erasing bullets. Make that shit temporary. So then... That's my biggest thing. If they had something like that, somebody could have stuck Dobby real quick. So then even if he wasn't dead or incapacitated... He can't just wake up and burn people alive.
No,
like, just
police, they're out there, man. But I think also what the two biggest things that's obviously happened since we've been gone is My Hero Academia, the story is over.
Yes.
The manga ended last week, August 5th, and I don't have the exact things on it because it's actually on my phone, but it was 430 chapters, 10 years, 7 seasons, ongoing, 4 movies, with a movie just came out in Japan.
Yep.
So, like, and then you just see hundreds of millions of copies sold, and it's just like, wow, like, manga's over. Obviously, people have their feelings because they're like, the plot hole that they wanted resolved may have not gotten resolved or things like that, but we haven't obviously read it, but it was like one of those things where I was almost hesitant, but then I was just like, I don't want to know who survives this, because if I see someone in the end, and I don't see someone who I'm watching now, then I'm like, oh, they're dead. So I was just like...
Me too. That's what I've been doing too.
The only thing that I saw that I really actually looked at from the last chapter, and I've told you about, was there was one thing where someone says, I don't know if it's Midoriya, I don't know who it is, because I didn't look at the picture. I just saw the quote, and I know it's from the thing, about like it's so hard to get together as we're adults because everyone has...
Everyone's busy.
And it's just like, it's a very true thing, because again, like we're talking about like, they're teenagers now, whatever that time skip is.
They're fucking freshmen.
They're going to be adults. They're going to hit that age where if they do all go to college or whatever, then they don't see each other often. It's like, we did all this shit together all these years. We survived all this stuff.
Literally 2 massive battles, a quote-unquote war, and then basically the battle for the world, for humanity.
And we can't even get together anymore because of our busy schedules. Really just hit home from like an adult perspective how hard it is to get together with your friends when you have all this like history with them and all that. But no, it's crazy because, which I think will probably be a whole different episode. Once it ended, all these randoms like comicbook.com, IGN, like all these things started asking the question, what's the next direction for Shonen? Like,
what's next?
Because they're like, My Hero just finished their manga. Obviously, Demon Slayer's finished their manga long ago, but they're in the final arcs of their anime. Jujutsu Kaisen's in the final arcs of their manga. Like, people were asking, like, so who's going to lead this stuff next? And I found that very interesting that all these sites all were focused on who is going to be next now. Like, and that's a thing for a different day, but I just find it funny that My Hero's manga ending, probably because it was the first, because you think about it, it's 2024. 10 years, that's 2014.
Yeah.
So it's been in the manga circulation for 10 years straight, and now it's done. So now that's what the biggest question I saw, and I was like, it's interesting that My Hero's the one that made these sites think about this.
Right.
Like, officially say it.
Well, I guess I wasn't as in tune at the time, but was that a question already posed? I don't think it was, because by the time Naruto finished... My Hero had just started, so it was like a natural, like, it was already gaining speed, so the torch was easily passed off. And it started in the superhero boom in the States with the MCU. Yes, exactly. So I guess it was like a natural, like, logical, like, oh, it would make sense that this is going to be the next big one. But now the question remains is like, well, there are a few, animes that became, like, really hyped up and they just started, but is it palatable enough? Is it marketable enough to a wide enough range, like My Hero was, like Naruto was, like One Piece, well, the funny part is One Piece is still...
One Piece is still going. It's still going, but
still going. But they technically, I mean, that's not the question. It's like, oh, can One Piece carry? It's like, One Piece is going to do what One Piece does.
We're not counting
as long as it's going to be around.
It's one of those things like bringing new fans to like the spectrum.
Right.
Like,
for the kids, for the little kids.
For the little kids. Like One Piece did bring new people, obviously, with the success of their Netflix show. And them being one of the now few to ever say that they had a float at the Macy's Day Parade.
Yes.
But it's like, that. But if you were a One Piece fan in 2001... You're already
still right.
Just like like if you were a Naruto fan back then, like you might be like, oh, I watched or listened to Boruto because I just like Naruto or whatever. Like if you were stuff back then, you really didn't disappear. Like this is like, all right, what's gonna bring the next generation of like anime fans in? Because all this stuff started within
for Shonen specifically, yeah.
Because all this stuff started like 2 years within each other. Like, all right, My Hero started 2014, blah blah. Then Demon Slayer started in 2016, and then JJK started in 20. Like, it wasn't that big a gap. Now it's just like, wow, this is over. So
well, and that's the other thing. Like I've mentioned is like it seems like. Well, I appreciate the stuffing a filler into anime and just making it last that much longer than it needs to. But the idea of like, okay, My Hero does, you said 430?
430.
That's a lot of chapters. Yeah. But like Demon Slayer,
they were like
less than 200?
They were in the twos, I would say max 220.
Yeah.
And then compared to Naruto was 700.
Right. And so it's like, is it kind of more of a like self-protective or self-care kind of idea to like have your series shorter because you want to be able to, live your life or get a little bit more of a breather, not have so much stress? Like, is it just more of a trend now that you don't want to risk your story getting cut off? Or what kind of... I do wonder what the main reason behind not having these series run 500, 600, 700 chapters.
Yeah, that's kind of what I also think because of the breaks in the Olympic stuff too, that this is the first time I think ever that the English and the Japanese episodes are
caught up.
Yeah, the exact same.
I know,
which is very crazy.
It's awesome. Honestly, the breaks really came at a good time because it's peaking in what's freaking happening.
Yep.
And so I have my dad watches My Hero, but he waits for the dub. The fact that they are caught up with each other now, I can be like, Dad, go watch. Like, so right on top of it. And so I think that's awesome that they are caught up with each other. I really hope there's no more breaks though.
Yeah, I don't think. I mean, this was episode 13 of season 7, and there's only 21 episodes.
21.
So there's 8 more. So 8 more weeks.
8. Oh, wow.
If you do the math like that, 8 more episodes in once a week, 8 more weeks.
Wait, doesn't that mean they might end on your birthday?
I haven't done that math yet because this episode 13th is this Saturday.
Right.
But yeah, because this season's it'll be close. It'll be 20. Maybe if they're probably because they're a lot smarter than me making money, they're probably timing this in a way that this ends before close to the movie time because they're gonna want you to see the movie. Even though,
if I'm counting correctly, this actually is set to finish on my brother's birthday, which is October 5th. So
no, that makes sense because it'll be right before the movie. The movie comes out the week after.
Oh yeah, that's right. Here in the U.S. it does.
Yeah, the movie comes out a week after.
The 12th, right?
Yeah, that weekend.
Yeah.
And that movie is before, it's in the show, but it's before they all fight in the war. So
right, which also, okay, here's my caveat to that. Obviously, we haven't watched the movie.
But
the villain is supposed to be Dark All Might. So is this bro that because they obviously fucking beat him. Mm-hmm. Is he not as strong as All Might? Or is he supposed to be as strong as All Might, and they managed to beat him before all of this happens, but now that they have like a real full All Might, now we're struggling. I'm going to be really nitpicky. I'm sorry. I'm going to be really nitpicky about that.
Or maybe it's because they didn't separate. From looking at the clips, it looks like they're all fighting together.
Yeah, but Class 1A all together versus some of the top heroes in the country, like fighting some.
Oh man, maybe if we still got a little vigilante Deku in him, maybe he's not happy go lucky like the pre, but like
no,
maybe we got the vigilante one who wants to take people out quick. It'll be interesting. I think the worst part's gonna be seeing Bakugo because it's like, oh, you just died.
Right? No, you're right. Because right after that episode, like that was, I remember you brought up the movie and I was like, holy shit! Yeah, oh my god, that's just gonna like squeeze the heart of like. Yeah, bro, you're dead.
Anyone you just saw was like, oh man, you died a couple weeks.
Yeah. Like, and you're doing all these crazy things. You're using your cluster. Like, and you're dead.
It's going to be worse at the end of that movie. It's like, Midoriya, I'm going to catch up to you one day. We're going to settle it. And then, Midoriya, main character's like, oh yeah, one day we definitely will. No, at this point in time of recording, no, he won't because you are dead.
He is dead.
And then you're going to sit there like, dang. It's like watching, it's just like if Demon Slayer made a new movie and it was about Rengoku.
Right.
Like, why?
Honestly, that's the same feeling. So I did go ahead and watch the season of Mugen Train, and there was the one, pre-movie episode.
And you're like, why am I watching this? I know what happened.
And it was just it hurt. It was an ache the entire time of just you're just such a lovable character. You're a great guy.
Yeah, I wish we can get more of you.
We see you boarding the plane. And
train.
It's oh, sorry, exactly. You're right. Boarding the train. I'm the one boarding a plane here in a couple hours. And we know we'll never see you alive again. No one will ever see you alive again.
Yep. So that's kind of crazy, but we'll see. We'll see, Andrea. Anything else?
Congratulations to the creator of My Hero for 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
For the wonderful content you've created, the spin-offs that you've created. I know Vigilantes is one of them, and I forget what the other one is called. We absolutely love your work, even though we have critiques here and there in our own opinions. We all appreciate the hard work and dedication and love and thought that you've put into the series that we all continue to enjoy, thankfully, through the animated version. I cannot wait to see what the ending of it all is, because like Martin said, we have not read the manga, so I don't know how it ends. So thank you so much for that. We enjoy being able to give our commentary on the show, and thank you guys for listening to us, and thank you, Martin, for hosting an in-person podcast for the first time in 2 years. Being able to do this is awesome. It's giving me a little bit of nostalgia and just, making the whole hop on a plane and go back to Texas a little bit that much more bittersweet. Yeah,
so with the creator, Horikoshi, if I messed that up. Horikoshi, yep. It's kind of crazy just looking at his stuff. He stated some of his manga when he was a child, which is crazy to say, was Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto. So just think about it in this perspective. You want to talk about, this is a couple weeks off your birthday, but he was born November 20th.
Oh, okay. That's right after my grandma.
But the thing too, when he's saying Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto were his favorite, I had to look how old he was. I mean, he's only 37.
Yeah.
So he's not, he's a couple years older than us. So it's so now, people...
We were growing up actually, if he's 37, he's the same age as my brother.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was essentially, there's obviously an age gap, but essentially growing up right around the same anime time as we were, which is crazy to think about. And
the fact that he's saying those are his favorite, there's going to be someone now who might be making the next big thing in the next 10 years who's going to... They're not going to know what... they'll know, Dragon Ball and, One Piece and Naruto were, if you were just, playing a sport, and because you didn't see him, you know who Michael Jordan is, but it's you didn't see him play, you didn't watch Dragon Ball when it was live, you didn't watch Naruto when it was live, but they're going to be my favorite anime is My Hero, and that's my favorite, and that's the reason it got me into
creating and writing stories.
Yep, because he's also inspired a whole generation himself, and whatever he decides to do, I know the money will try and talk to him to come back and do something, but another movie, who knows? Sequel. I know every time, if people don't get the ending they want,
I personally want a prequel. I want Vigilantes animated. That is what I want. But
we'll see. But with that being said, thank you everyone for listening to L7C Podcast. My Hero Edition has been well over a month. The new 4 start now. The next 4 episodes are probably going to be Midoriya versus Shigaraki, and
I hope
sprinkle in. But then you gotta go. But you gotta go back to All For One's fight, because that's big. You gotta go back to Dabi. We gotta go back to Toga, but you still gotta focus on this main stuff. So it's gonna be interesting how they storyboard that.
That's true. That's very true.
That being said, L7C Podcast signing out. Thank you for listening to this episode of the L7C Podcast. Be sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all social media platforms, and we'll be talking to you guys soon. Take care.